In the primordial darkness of the Greek cosmos, before gods ruled the skies and mortals trembled beneath the fury of fate, an ancient question echoed through time. If you could see the future, would it be a gift or a curse between the radiant heights of Olympus and the blood-stained fields of men? There existed a god who carried light across the world. Yet within those blazing eyes lay secrets so deep that no sunlight could ever reach them. His name was Apollo. Apollo, the god of light, music, poetry, healing, and prophecy, was often praised as one of the most perfect deities in Greek mythology. A symbol of beauty, wisdom, and purity. But Greek mythology was never merely a collection of glorious tales. Behind every halo, shadows lurk, and Apollo was no exception. From the moment he was born, Apollo bore a destined burden. Born amid a savage chase, and raised beneath prophecies no one could defy, he defeated a monstrous dragon and claimed the Temple of Delphi, the place where the secrets of the future lay hidden. But that very power also bound Apollo to inescapable tragedy. Loves that shattered, deaths that came unjustly, and prophecies so chillingly accurate, no one dared believe them. In today's story, we step into the life of Apollo, not merely a great god, but a lonely dreamer, one who knew everything, yet could change nothing. Steady your mind. For the light you are about to see may not bring salvation, but truth, bared in the form of a curse. The birth of light. Before Apollo's light blazed across the sky, he was far from a symbol of glory. He was born in darkness, amidst fear and divine wrath. Apollo's mother was Leto, a gentle, beautiful goddess who made one unforgivable mistake. She became pregnant by Zeus. When Hera, Zeus's wife, found out, she did not kill Leto. She did something far crueler. She cursed her so that no place under the sun, no land or island, could allow Leto to give birth. It seemed Leto would wander forever, unable to deliver her children. She fled through forests, crossed oceans, begged for shelter across lands. But all feared Hera, and all refused her. No one dared welcome the woman who carried Zeus's children. The world turned its back. The gods remained silent. Only the heavy breaths of a lonely mother clung to life beneath a merciless sky. Finally, amidst the Aegean Sea, a drifting, rootless island named Delos took pity and agreed to give her refuge. Because it was neither land nor fixed island, Delos did not violate Hera's curse. There, on the barren ground without shade or tree, Leto gave birth to twins, Artemis and Apollo. Artemis was born first, gentle as moonlight gliding across night. She helped her mother deliver the second child, her twin brother, the one who would carry light across the world, Apollo. It is said that when Apollo let out his first cry, the once grey sky erupted in brilliant light. The sun rose unnaturally fast, birds began to sing, and the barren island of Delos suddenly teemed with life. Apollo was unlike any child. In just days, he grew into a radiant youth, bow slung over his shoulder, lyre in hand, and eyes burning. Like celestial fire, he walked among mortals, but none dared meet his gaze. His light did not merely shine, it scorched. But don't mistake it for a glorious beginning. From that moment on, Apollo's fate was carved, not by his own hand, but by prophecies that could never be denied. No one taught him to be a god of prophecy, yet he always knew the future, of others, of the world, and of himself. And so, a god of light was born in darkness. But that light was never meant to warm. It was meant to burn away falsehoods, expose the truth, and awaken tragedy. The conqueror of light, music, prophecy, and the first power. When Apollo came of age, he was more than a radiant youth. He was the embodiment of perfection, as beautiful as dawn's first light, as fierce as noon's blaze, and as enigmatic as an echo from the future. But before he earned his place among the mighty gods, Apollo had to step through blood, shadows, and the first battles that shaped his power. Soon after his birth, Apollo was drawn by a mysterious calling, Delphi, a sacred land, home to an ancient oracle and the monstrous serpent Python. Born of Gaia, Python was no ordinary beast. It guarded ancient prophecy, power strong enough to shake even Zeus's throne. Though still young, Apollo resolved that Delphi must be his. He journeyed through forests and over mountains, into the deep cavern where Python dwelled. He needed no army, no allies. Armed only with a silver bow, crafted by Hephaestus, Apollo faced the monstrous serpent. The battle between light and darkness raged for days, until at last, Apollo loosed a fatal arrow that pierced Python's heart, staining the sacred ground with dragon's blood. But Python's blood could not be cleansed with glory. Slaying such a sacred creature left Apollo tainted, and he had to undergo long rites of purification. Still, Delphi was his, and it became the most renowned prophetic temple of Apollo. There, through the mouths of the Pythia priestesses, divine prophecies echoed forth, guiding kings, heroes, and even those marching toward doom. Around this time, Apollo received a gift, or perhaps another stroke of fate, the first lyre crafted by Hermes from a tortoise shell and cow sinew. At first, it was to calm Apollo's fury when Hermes stole his cattle, but upon hearing its sound, Apollo was entranced. He forgave Hermes, traded the cattle for the lyre, and from then on became the god of music, poetry, and the arts. Apollo needed no words. A single melody from his lyre could still the sea, silence the wind, hush the birds, and move mortals to tears. His music was not mere entertainment. It was the voice of destiny, the heartbeat of the universe, the silent weeping of unspoken prophecy. And so, Apollo became a god who held both lyre and bow, capable of lulling the world into dreams through music, or waking it with a searing arrow of light. Whether song or arrow, everything Apollo touched bore the mark of fate, tragic loves. When light cannot warm the heart, people often believe that gods, with their beauty and power, could have anyone they desired. And if that god were Apollo, with eyes of fire, a body carved from sunlight, and music that could halt time, how could anyone resist? But in Greek myth, one rule remained harsh and clear. The brighter the light, the longer the shadow, and Apollo's love, expected to be as sweet as the melodies he played, was instead a symphony of tears, death, and despair. Daphne, the first love and the curse of escape once. Apollo mocked Eros, the god of love, calling him a child playing with weapons, while he, Apollo, was a true master of the bow. In anger, Eros fired 2 fateful arrows, one golden, which made Apollo fall hopelessly in love with the forest nymph Daphne, and one leaden, which made Daphne loathe Apollo with every fiber of her being. For the first time Apollo knew love, he pursued Daphne with passion, offering her songs, poems, and all his radiant light. But the more he chased, the more she fled. At last, when she could run no more, Daphne pleaded with her father, river god Peneus, to change her form, and just as Apollo reached for her, her body softened, skin turned to bark, hair to leaves, and her feet rooted into the earth. Daphne had become a laurel tree, forever escaping a love she never asked for. Apollo embraced the tree's form, heartbroken, yet gentle. He swore that this love would never die, and from then on, the laurel wreath became Apollo's sacred symbol, worn by poets, philosophers, and victors. Hyacinthus, a love that bloomed and withered. Like a flower in another tale, Apollo gave his heart to a beautiful youth named Hyacinthus, a mortal with a pure soul and eyes like a morning lake. They played sports together, talked for hours, exchanged words of love, as if crafting myth by hand. But the wind never stays still. Zephyrus, god of the west wind, also loved Hyacinthus, but was scorned. In a jealous rage, Zephyrus twisted the path of a discus Apollo threw, sending it crashing into Hyacinthus's skull. The boy fell into Apollo's arms, his blood soaking the flowers around him. Apollo screamed, begged, and prayed. But even the god of light could not call back the spirit already gone. From Hyacinthus's blood, a sorrowful purple flower bloomed, the hyacinth, forever bearing the tears of a god whose love ended in death. Cassandra, when prophecy becomes a punishment, the final, most bitter love is not because of death, but because of being forgotten, ignored, or considered mad. Apollo once loved Cassandra, the princess of Troy, a smart, beautiful, and strong girl. To win her heart, Apollo granted her the gift of prophecy, the ability to see everything that would happen. But Cassandra, despite receiving this gift, rejected Apollo's love. Angered and hurt, the god couldn't take back the power he had given her but cursed her, saying, "You will see the future, but no one will ever believe you." And that's exactly what happened. Cassandra warned the people of Troy about the wooden horse, about the fall, about blood and fire. But they only mocked her as a madwoman. The prophecy became a curse, and love turned into loneliness that lasted until her death. The love of a god. A light that cannot touch the heart Apollo is the god of light. But that light could never warm any heart he ever loved. Every romance ended in distortion, death, or madness. Not because he was cruel, but because he was the one who controlled destiny. And as everyone knows, destiny never gives anything completely. And perhaps, in Apollo's bright eyes, there is one thing that has never changed. The loneliness of a god who knows the future, but can't change anything. Prophecy and the price. To pay if light is Apollo's great power. Prophecy is his sharpest and most dangerous weapon. But unlike arrows that can hit or miss, Apollo's prophecies never err. And because they are always true, they are always terrifying. People came to the temple of Delphi, where the priestess Pythia relayed the god's words, not only to inquire about fate, but also to find hope, a way out, or even punishment. But Apollo's prophecies were never simple. They were metaphorical, vague, and if not understood correctly, people would lead themselves into tragedy. Croesus, the rich king, and the price of arrogance. Croesus, the king of Lydia, once came to Delphi to ask Apollo, "If I wage war on Persia, what will happen?" Pythia replied, "If you cross the Halys River, a great empire will fall." Croesus rejoiced, believing the empire was Persia. He waged war, starting a great conflict. But the outcome wasn't what he thought. The one who failed was Croesus himself. The empire that fell was his own. The prophecy was correct, but it was stated in a way that only the wise would understand. Apollo did not deceive. He simply spoke the truth in a terrifyingly vague way, so that those who were too arrogant would wound themselves with their own dreams. Orestes, the mother killer and the redemption under divine light. Orestes, the son of Agamemnon, also had to face a painful choice. His father was killed by his mother, Queen Clytemnestra. Orestes went to Delphi to seek advice, and Apollo, without hesitation, declared, "You must take revenge. You must kill your mother." Orestes did as told, but immediately after, he was relentlessly pursued by the Furies, the goddesses of vengeance. For the crime of killing a blood relative, he went mad, confused, and ran everywhere. Even though he followed the god's command, he was still punished. So, was Apollo right or wrong? The answer is not easy. In the end, Orestes was judged in the court of Athena, where wisdom intervened. Apollo came to defend him. He did not deny the horror of Orestes' actions, but emphasized that sometimes justice requires a bloody price. Thanks to this, Orestes was forgiven, and the Furies were transformed into the Eumenides, the kindly goddesses. In this story, prophecy was not a knife, but a scale, and the one who held the scale was none other than Apollo. Prophecy, a gift, or a curse? Why would Apollo, a god of art, light, and beauty, possess the most terrifying power? To know the future, but not change it? That question has no clear answer. But there is one truth. Apollo never smiles when prophesying. He doesn't rejoice when people die because of his words. Nor is he proud when kingdoms fall under the light of prophecy. Because he knows, despite his power, he too is a victim of it. Apollo knew the tragedy that would befall Troy, but could not stop it. He knew Hyacinthus would die, but could not save him. He gave the prophecy to Cassandra, and it turned her into a madwoman in the eyes of the world. Prophecy, therefore, is not a gift. It is a golden curse. Brilliant, great, but no one can carry it without being burned. Between light and darkness, the god who cannot save himself, Apollo is the god of light, but also the loneliest being amidst all that radiance. He sees everything, both the beautiful and the cruel, and cannot turn away. He cannot change it. Perhaps that is why Apollo's music is so poignant. Every melody he plays is not to praise victory, but to soothe the lost souls. Every prophecy is not meant to sow fear, but to remind that humans have freedom, but also limits, and Apollo, who always walks in light, is the one who understands best. There is no glory without shadow, no knowledge without heartache, and no prophecy, no matter how true, that doesn't leave a scar. Eternal legacy, light still shines in darkness. In the world of Greek mythology, where gods can bring life or disaster with a single glance, Apollo stands out as an eternal flame. Radiant, profound, and full of contradictions, he is the embodiment of light. But that light is not just the midday sun. It is the light of awareness, of truth, one that illuminates the cracks in the human soul. Apollo is the god of the arts, bringing music, poetry, dance, and beauty. But within those beautiful things lies an enduring sorrow, like a haunting melody echoing in the temple of Delphi, or the sigh from his lyre after each broken romance. He is the god of prophecy, foreseeing tragedies, wrong choices, and the fall of kingdoms, but unable to stop them. This makes him not a god of absolute power, but a gatekeeper of destiny, helplessly watching as time sweeps everything away. Apollo represents wisdom and discipline, the balance between emotion and reason, light and darkness, but above all, he is the symbol of humanity's ceaseless quest for beauty, truth, and the deepest self within their soul. Even though time passes, the temple of Delphi crumbles, and the laurel wreaths fall, Apollo still lives in every piece of music played, every poem written, every question asked by humanity to the universe. For true light is not something that erases darkness, but something that dares us to face it. Apollo, the god of light, has never been victorious in love, never saved cursed fates, yet he remains the eternal dawn, guiding the lost and illuminating the noblest part of humanity. And perhaps that is the undying legacy Apollo leaves. Not royal power, not victories, but the desire to understand, the desire to love, the desire to live, despite tragedy. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch the video. If you found the video helpful and interesting, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any future videos. Wishing you a wonderful day, and see you in the next video.